This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
It is a good morning. It's interesting the timing of our shows. If he did Monday, would not have been a good morning. Waited one more day, worked out perfectly. So a better morning than I might even have expected after that trip, playing a back-to-back against the 76ers. And Big O, this is the classic example where if you think it's bad where you are, look where some of these other teams are. You could be where Philly is. You could be where Milwaukee is. So yes, not perfect, not 500 yet for the Heat. But believe me, this league is upside down at the moment.
Well, and again, the chemist is at work right now, and so he's still figuring out who's who, what's what, who's healthy. Butler was out of lineup, now he's back in. Now you're missing Terry, you're missing Jaquez, so he's got to do the whole juggling and balancing act and all that. So Spo's got to figure all this stuff out. Look, Hero last night didn't have a good game. It was just a really fun third quarter. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was what was it, 14, 16 points? What did he score in that third quarter? Something like that, right?
He scored 16. He just, you know what, it's funny because everyone talked about his first halves and then tapering off this season. But you can see with Jimmy back, it was a little bit of a different alignment. Like you said, a bunch of adjusting going on, adjusting to Jimmy, adjusting to Terry being out. It's early. Just gain your footing, know what you do well, find out what you don't do well, and you move past that also. So that's the difference. This isn't the Dolphins. It's not a 17-game schedule. There's 82 games. Better to learn early than to fail late.
Now, in the end, they're going to need the purple hair man to kind of be out there more often, or red hair. It was red, right? It was red. Red.
I'm gonna go with crimson, but the uniforms are called blood red. I think he was trying to match that. Yeah.
Whatever that color was. But they need him every night, or as many nights as possible, and they need him to play like he played last night. They have no star power on this team, and if Jimmy doesn't fill that void, dude, this is going to be an even longer season.
And look, we know what Jimmy looks like with 9 days off last night, and that's all well and good. That's not going to happen that much. Yes, he's going to have 5 days off before Dallas on Sunday because of this break here in the middle of the schedule. But Jimmy's got to be able to show that he can persevere. One, he wants the money, whether it's from the Heat, whether it's from someone else in the offseason as a free agent. He certainly has ample motivation. We also see something, and I just posted a story at sunsentinel.com on this. The Heat can talk all they want about running and playing at speed. The Heat can talk all they want about outscoring you. It's not who they are. It's Jimmy Butler busting his way to 13 free throws, holding the other team down defensively, and winning in the low hundreds. This is never going to be a roster that's going to beat you 125, 124. It's simply not how they're built. It's built to play around Jimmy Butler bully ball. We saw it last night. Joel Embiid talked about it in the postgame, how when Jimmy's playing like this, he's one of the best players in the league. But like Big O has said on our Accurate Pembroke Pines report for years now, it just can't be a sometimes sort of thing. If you're a great player in this league, it has to be an all-the-time thing because that's what the great players in this league do.
Yeah, but the flip side is and that's where the chemist has to come in and kind of figure this out. You can be some bully ball, but you're going to have you can't be a 2-point team in a 3-point world. So you've got to find that mix where you have bully, but you also have some firepower. And you've got to find a way where you get consistency. Duncan started yesterday, but you've got to find some consistency from Tyler and Duncan and a couple of other guys that they've got to be able to really make an impact from the perimeter in this league. That's just the way it is. Or if not, the bully ball thing, you can't play like that for 82 games because that also wears you down trying to keep up with these 3-point offenses. So that's where that balance is really difficult right now for Spo.
No, and I agree, and two factors there. But he changed the lineup because when Jimmy plays bully ball, he gets to the rim and he can kick out. The Heat did have 40-plus 3-point attempts, which is where you need to be in today's NBA. Now, they got the shots. Tyler was 2 of 10. Duncan was 2 of 10. That's not going to continue. I'm not saying they're 40% 3-point shooters, But I sure as hell know, after seeing the body of work from them, they're not 20% three-point shooters. So the Heat got closer to that game yesterday. To your point, Jimmy played a team-high 33. You can't have Jimmy leading the team in minutes. At 35 years old, that's not safe. But like Eric Spoelstra said, that's where our depth comes in. That's where I'll cycle through guys. It might be Jaquez one night. It might have to be Alec Burks one night. It's going to be different guys each night, but we're going to have to keep Jimmy fresh. So it's going to be interesting. They didn't play him on the back-to-back this time. They gave him Sunday off. I thought he was ready, but hey, that's a team decision. But look at next week. When you go to Toronto for a game on Sunday night and Boston for a game on a Monday night, how are you going to manage that back-to-back? What the Heat can't afford is this. They can't pick and choose. They can't sit Jimmy out during back-to-back sets for one of the games. They're not that good. They don't have that sort of leverage or option to play players only on certain nights. They need wins. You're going to have to manage minutes. You're going to have to make the most of your depth, and you're going to have to decide who that depth is. Big O, it's going to be really interesting when Terry Rozier comes back. Does he come back as a starter, or did this open the door for Spoelstra to move to something else? If Terry is ready by Sunday against the Mavericks, I'm really curious to see how it plays out.
Or maybe you ease him back since he is coming back from the injury anyway, as it is, because it's a foot or a knee or whatever.
It's a foot injury they call general soreness. Was it just because it was the second day of a back-to-back? Here's the problem or concern I have. You remember this. Last year, the Heat played a game in Indiana, and the Heat said Terry slept on the wrong side of the bed. He didn't play well, so we're going to give him some time off. Then we find out later he's in a damn neck brace, and he misses the entire summer and something more. One thing I've learned in the NBA, until a player comes back, I don't necessarily take these minor injuries as minor. I need to see them back on the court. Good thing there's a 5-day break. We'll see a little bit more on Sunday.
So you mean there's those days of watching Tim Hardaway work the little wooden thing for his plantar fasciitis so he can play every day? Those kind of days are gone?
They're not gone, but I think right now they can tell injuries that are far more serious. Here's the problem. As medicine and testing has gotten better, they might have looked at those Tim Hardaway injuries and going, oh my God, this guy's got to sit for 6 weeks. They didn't know. They didn't have the testing. They didn't have the quality MRI now. It's almost as if in sports we know too much. That with the testing for concussions and the person in the stands in the NFL and even in the NBA right now, where they're taking players off the field or off the court. We never had that before. So before, you didn't know any better. You sent him, you pushed Tim's butt back out there. You gave him a weight clause. You told him lose some weight and get out there. Now, all of a sudden, sports science, we're finding out things maybe we're better off before when we didn't find out. At least not in the case of concussions, but with other injuries.
I watched Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, and Jason Taylor play with plantar fasciitis. And that's the positions that those people are playing. Sure. That's not the injury you want to have with that position. You know what I'm saying?
But it's also the toughness factor. You remember this, Big O. In the 2020 NBA Finals, Goran Dragic had no right to play that game against the Lakers when he came back. He didn't have plantar fasciitis. He had everything torn apart in his foot. But he still went out there with his Herman Munster boots because he wanted to get on the court. So that's part of it also, how much you want. The problem is with the NBA, there's too many games. So you can skip 5, 10, Jimmy 22, and still come back and hope to be ready for the playoffs. The problem is you play that waiting game like the Sixers are with Joel Embiid only appearing in 3 games so far. You get to the playoffs, you might not be the team you thought you were.
You heard it when you were joining us there. Riley gets a statue, overdue in LA, and I'm glad that they're doing it for him. Like I was talking about, let's honor these people when you can enjoy the damn honor. They've already earned the damn honor. Let's go, bro. What are we waiting for at times? And by the way, I'd like a nice tall statue in Miami too already.
Yeah, it's a tough call because I'm sure Pat Riley's going, wait a minute, do they know something about my health I don't? They're giving me a cord, they're giving me a statue, but I agree. At 79 years old, you don't want to have, a ceremony like that where you don't have the person who can really relish the moment. I agree. I think the Lakers thing was always held off because what happened? He became more and more a product of the Heat. Nobody thought Pat Riley would spend well more time in Miami than he did with the Showtime Lakers. So I think he was not viewed. Magic Johnson is only a Laker. James Worthy is only a Laker. Kobe Bryant is only a Laker. You look at those players solely as, I think it's a tough call for other teams when players have been in multiple spots. Look how long the Raptors waited on Vince Carter to make that the first number they retired. Vince had a career. He played for every team in the NBA eventually. So I understand the Lakers waiting to sort of open that door to players who also with other teams. But I agree, and I wrote that in my Ask Ira today at sunsentinel.com. Of course there's going to be a Pat Riley statue. The thing I find fascinating is, after seeing the Dwayne statue, is Pat going to have a hand in who does his statue and how that's going to turn out? So I'll be curious about that. Yeah.
Yes. Go. Whoever did Ed Reed's statue or whatever, yeah, Pat. Let's whoever did Don Shula and Marino's statue.
Yes.
Have those people do your statue, but let's have something really special for Pat Riley.
And I think they will. And it's interesting. For people who look at the press release, the Lakers had of Pat Riley's slick back hair on the sideline, the ultimate Showtime coach. We saw it in the Showtime series. That look, it's going to be in an Armani. It's going to be with the slick back hair. It's going to be from the Lakers era. You know what? It's interesting. Eric Spoelstra said something very interesting last night about Pat Riley. He said he made coaching cool. I thought that was a really good line that he had because it wasn't your high school gym teacher in his knee-high socks anymore. It was a guy who transcended sports and brought it into entertainment. That's really what Pat Riley did.
And let me tell you something. You and I have been around a long time, and I mentioned it before you came on. We have witnessed what it's like to build a culture, okay, with Don Shula, with Ron Frazier, by the way, because if you really look at the Ron Frazier, what he built since then, okay, it's been always on a decline from that point on, okay? Even with the guy from Long Beach that took over, Jim, God, what's his name? The coach that won a couple titles also after.
Drawing a blank also, yeah.
Yeah. But it was
Morris, was that it? Jim Morris?
Jim Morris,
yes.
Jim Morris. But it was still kind of on a decline. And then we saw what Don Shula built. That's gone, dude. That's gone. So appreciate Pat Riley. Appreciate the hell out of Pat Riley and the culture he built and all of that. Because you could talk about the future and everybody's set in place and all that kind of stuff. But we've watched it in the past to live up to the person that set that culture up. It's going to be really hard for Nick Harrison and everybody else to live up to that. So that's why I'm saying build that statue, my brother, because that man deserves it. I've watched others build cultures, and I've watched that more often than not, you're not going to be able to maintain it. So Heat fans, appreciate it because I've said it. He doesn't have his fastball lately. He doesn't bring in whales anymore like he used to. I get it. But even his days that he doesn't have the fastball, you're still getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. You're still getting the NBA Finals. You're still one of the more respectable teams in the NBA. You're still one of the more winning franchises in the NBA. So even if he's not at his best right now, you're still way better than most.
And what tells you about his legacy is this. He has been an executive now for over a quarter century, and yet everyone still calls him Coach Riley. They remember his roots. They remember what he did. That's his legacy. It's they always say you never want to replace the great coach. You want to be the guy who replaces the guy who replaced the great coach. Right. So I do think the executive that follows Pat is going to have an awfully tough road to hoe because of that legacy. You may want to be too down the line there and not the next guy coming in. Don't be Don Nelson after Pat Riley left New York. Be Jeff Van Gundy. Be the second guy in. It's a lot easier that way.
And dude, the guy developed two great coaches for you because Stan can coach his ass off, and then you got Spo. Not only did he build a great culture, but he also built a pipeline of coaches because he even left the Knicks. With Jeff, I was
Jeff
having
Van Gundy,
I was just having some fun with it. Maybe they should put a statue outside for New York too, because the last time they were highly respected, it was when Riley's culture was in New York also.
Or put a Alonzo Mourning statue out there with Jeff Van Gundy hanging off his leg, and then you got it all covered there. Maybe that's the option.
Yeah, that could be the option. All right. What are you working on the Sentinel?
I wrote a story, just posted it now. Let's face it, the Heat with Jimmy Butler are the Heat. They've got to get back to that. Jimmy has to stay in the court. They've got to play toward Jimmy's skill. Jimmy has to realize at 35, he has to work other guys in. He has to be smart with his body. But you saw last night, he makes such a difference. 11 points in his first 9 minutes. When he's at his best, the Heat are at their best. And then I wrote my Ask Ira today about how it's got to be a meritocracy off the bench. Last night we saw Alec Burks and Drew Smith getting it done. You get it done, you play. It's not just because you're Josh Richardson and you've been here before. It's not just because you're a guy they gave a salary to. I really like what Spo did that in the second half. Hey, Nico, you might have been good on Sunday, but you weren't good in the first half. You're not playing in the second half. Khalil Ware, we did spend another number 15 pick on you, but you've got to produce to be out there. Pelle Larson, we gave you an early shot, didn't work out. Maybe some G League time. It's got to be that way. You build around your star players. Either you fit in the other guys or you fit out. I think that's important. I addressed that in my Ask Ira today at sunsentinel.com.
By the way, I'm going to reach on this one. Is there any chance they're playing this kid just to try to trade him, and that's why they played him, because they gave him a contract? And I agree with you, but is it just because maybe they want to unload that salary down the line?
I think more than anything else, they're just trying to see what fits in now with the roster. Again, keep in mind one day, and we'll deal with this in our Accurate Pembroke Pines report later next month. December 15th is the first time you can trade guys who you signed in the offseason. I think that's when the motor gets started. I believe, not to be unfair to them, but if he could move off the Thomas Bryant and the Josh Richardson contracts and regain the flexibility in the tax, you can get better players who fit, maybe another power forward. Not saying it'll be PJ Tucker, but you can get another guy who fits the role for your team better. Right now, what we had in this offseason, because there was no whale, you had a bunch of guys you threw together to see how you could make it work. They'll have a chance to mold through December 15th. Then they can start to figure who they want to be. That's when a good half of the league becomes more tradable. So we're about a month away when I think we'll start seeing real, genuine movement in the NBA.
Yeah, because the Richardson thing, I mean, I'd rather go young, but I'm watching.
And I agree. Yeah.
I'm like, are you trying to showcase him to see if you can, an extra piece and part of a trade, and you throw it in, whatever?
Honestly, they would trade guys like that or Thomas Bryant for a pick or almost nothing just to regain the flexibility. So it will be interesting. But I like what he said is, hey, Drew Smith, you were good, you play. Alec Burke, you were good, you play. That's what they need to do. Get your best players on the court. You need to win now. You're still under 500.
Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and catch his exceptional work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. We'll catch up next week, my friend. Thank you, sir.
Catch you next week in our Accurate Pembroke Pines report. Thanks, Big O.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Ira Winderman and our Accurate Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat and NBA report. And by the way, the 2025 Integra is in. You can get it $339 a month for all approved leases. They also have 3.9% financing for 60 months. The 2025 RDX is in, $399 a month, in stock for immediate delivery. Get on out there, take advantage of it. The ZDX, get electrified, all approved leases, $449 a month, 0.9% financing for 72 months, no payments for 90 days. Get on down there. Go see Larry Schlossberg and Pat Nasto and Tony Stampone. All the amazing people getting it done at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.